What if I told you the moment you lose everything might be the moment your real life begins? Not after the pain, not after the success, but right there in the middle of the wreckage. This isn't a fairy tale. This isn't a feel-good speech. This is a real story about a boy who fell so hard he had two choices: rise or disappear. His name was Jack. At 19, Jack had what most people dream of. Not riches, not fame, but peace. He lived in a small town, woke up every morning to the smell of fresh tea, had dinners with his mom, played football in the street with friends who called him brother. He laughed freely. He loved quietly. And he believed, like most of us do, that things would stay that way. But life doesn't knock before it breaks in. One cold morning in December, everything changed. A phone call, a fire, a decision that shattered it all. Jack's father was in trouble, deep trouble. Money, debt, and worse, he disappeared. His house was sold overnight to cover the losses. His mother, heartbroken and ashamed, left to stay with distant relatives. And his friends, the ones who promised they'd always be there, slowly stopped answering. By the end of that week, Jack stood in front of a locked gate with nothing but a small bag and a hoodie. His entire life had vanished. And here's the thing about sudden loss. It doesn't just take your belongings, it steals your identity. It takes away the person you thought you were and leaves you empty. Jack wandered the streets, not for a day, not for a weekend, but for weeks. He slept near bus stations, used the bathroom at fast food places, stared at people walking by, warm, clean, laughing, and wondered how they did it. Why was he the one that fell? But pain doesn't always come to destroy you. Sometimes it comes to introduce you to your real self. One night, Jack found an old bench near the train tracks. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. His lips were cracked. His phone was dead. He stared at the sky, and for the first time in his life, he said out loud, "I have nothing left." But the stars didn't blink. The night didn't respond. And in that silence, something changed. Jack realized no one was coming. No one was going to save him. And that was his first moment of power. The next morning, he walked into a bakery, eyes tired, shoulders low. He didn't beg for money. He asked, "Can I clean your floors for food?" The old man behind the counter looked at him and said yes. That job paid him in bread, but it gave him something more, a beginning. Jack cleaned the floor every day before sunrise, scrubbed the back room, carried bags of flour, and in between, he read books he borrowed from a local library: self-help, business, psychology. Anything. He was rebuilding his life with pages. Pain taught Jack to listen, to think, to move differently, to work when no one was watching. And that's the difference between surviving and rising. Survivors get through, but the ones who rise, they transform. Jack wasn't trying to bounce back. He was becoming something new. Months passed. He saved every coin, bought secondhand clothes, rented a tiny room with no windows, but that room, it was his. It was his space to rebuild. He got a second job, started helping at a local mechanic's garage, fixed engines by day, read books by night. No excuses, no shortcuts. And you, yes, you listening to this, you're still here for a reason, because something in you knows that your pain might be your turning point. So here's what I'll ask you. If this story has hit something inside you, press the like button now. Not because I want a number, but because someone else out there needs to hear it too. And if you've been through something like this, tell me in the comment. I want to hear your story. You never know who you might help just by showing up. And if you want more stories like this, stories that speak the truth, subscribe now. This journey isn't just Jack's, it's ours. 1 year after losing everything, Jack stood in a suit. Not expensive, but clean. He had a real job. He looked in the mirror and saw something new. Not just a man who survived, but a man who changed. His pain gave him power. His fall gave him focus. His loneliness gave him strength. Jack never forgot the night he said, "I have nothing left," because now, when he faces challenges, he smiles and thinks, "I've already been to the bottom. I know how to climb." And maybe that's your story too. Not today, maybe not this year, but someday soon you'll look back and realize your worst moment was your best beginning. So let's not keep this story in the dark. Let's give it light. Tap the like button, not for the algorithm, but because someone out there needs hope today. Share this video with one person who's been silently falling apart. And if you believe that pain is not the end, subscribe and stay with us. Not just for stories, but for the strength you forgot you had. You're not broken, you're becoming.